Ruqayya. Thank you so much for taking the time out today.
Thank you so much, Shajia, for having us.
So, the first thing that we want to ask you is, can you tell us a bit about Insitor, what your work is like?
So Insitor is one of just a couple of impact investors with an on-ground presence in Pakistan. They've been investing globally since 2009 with a total of $92 million in assets under management. There have been 3 funds so far, starting off with a seed pilot of $15 million, which was fully invested, moving on to Insitor Impact Asia Fund, which is $33.2 million, also fully invested. And finally, Insitor Impact Asia Fund 2, for which the first close was completed at $42 million. Insitor currently at this point invests in 3 geographies, India, Cambodia, and Pakistan. We have made about 30 investments so far with 10 exits. In Pakistan, we have about 5 investments of more than $5 million total. We made our first investment in Pakistan in 2021. And we've invested across a variety of sectors and areas, including low-income housing, mortgage financing, education financing, and most recently, we've done gold loans as well.
These projects that you invest in, how do you judge their financial and economic viability in the long run? And is that the basis upon which you make your investment, or are you looking for some more qualitative aspects as well?
Actually look at a number of things. I think it would be hard to kind of pin down all of them, but I can kind of go over the top 3 things that we look at. And so we have a pretty long approval process. We go through multiple stages during which we present to our global team, but then we present to our IC, and then moving on to term sheet negotiation and drafting of the legal documents and signing. During the selection process, like you said, we look at financial viability. We try to focus on companies where the consumer needs are at the core of the business model. We particularly look for passionate entrepreneurs who feel strongly about the problems they are solving. And then moving on to impact as well, we are pretty sector agnostic, but we look at 3 key themes when it comes to impact, which is better health, sustainable living, and economic growth.
You've mentioned around 5 projects that you invested in Pakistan. What's been your favorite?
I think they all have their own value that they add. And, I think Pakistan, especially in the state that it is in right now, is in need of as many exciting and impactful companies as possible. So for me, like, more is better. So I'm a fan of kind of all of them.
You have 10 firms that you've exited from in Insitor. How do you ensure that these firms remain financially viable? What kind of support do you provide to these firms after you've exited, or to help them really sustain their trajectory?
So prior to investment, we look for companies with a clear path to profitability. So we analyze the financial models, we perform sensitivities on the riskiest areas. Once we're kind of confident in the business model and the unit economics, and we've made the investment, post-investment, we also keep track of the portfolio. So we analyze month-on-month performance, and we provide support and guidance where needed.
When you invest in Pakistan, how do you mitigate and manage the risk involved with your projects?
So as you know, with Pakistan, there are currently, I think, the 2 top risks right now, I would say, are the political instability and the currency risk. So again, I don't think there's any way to completely mitigate them, but we are just kind of keeping on top of them, keeping track of them, and seeing how they are affecting the day-to-day business and the long-term goals of the companies that we've already invested in. If you're speaking more generally, we consider ourselves partners for the companies that we invest in, particularly in terms of providing post-investment support. And we focus on 4 key pillars, and then plugging in additional skill set gaps as needed. So the first one is governance. We actively participate in governance through board seats and key committees, and we work to enhance governance where it's needed. The second one is finance and control. So we help to instill and implement best practices to set up a robust finance and control framework, such as helping companies improve their cash flow forecasting processes. The third one is strategy and growth. So we are pretty hands-on, and we kind of support decision making by sharing our own internal data, frameworks, and perspectives, and even kind of reach out to our networks to unlock opportunities that could potentially help the companies that we work with. And then finally, we also help in providing end-to-end fundraising support. One of the biggest issues in Pakistan is raising further funds, such as Series B, Series Cs. So we work with helping the companies that we've invested in unlock those forms of capital. And then we also help connect our companies to technical assistance. So projects that will help in supporting the core businesses, help building capacities, provide expertise or facilitate new systems and processes for the companies to enhance their sustainability and their commercial viability.
So you mentioned three areas: governance, financing, and strategy. My follow-up question to this is that how do you manage the expertise required to help enhance these three strategic areas for the projects? Do you have expertise in-house? Do you make sure that you connect people to their network? And if yes, then how do you make sure that impact investment is still relevant, considering that people from these projects may just reach out to their own network to access the services that you're providing?
Okay, so sorry, I think I got two questions. So I think your first question was whether we use our own in-house support versus like external. So again, we're not exclusive in any way, and where we feel we have the in-house expertise to help companies, we do so. We use that, but where we feel external partners would be more helpful, we help to forge connections. So for example, one of our investors, BII, has helped us with a TA fund, which they provide to our investees. So we see where the availability and the need is. And then in terms of kind of companies reaching out themselves, we definitely don't discourage that. We encourage that wherever the company feels that they can find support, whether it's through us or through others, we're open to them growing and bettering themselves in whichever way works.
So, Ruqayya, how does Insitor work with regional partners like the government, the private sector, to ensure that your impact is in line with local, national, and regional goals?
Okay, I'm gonna just flip your question a little bit and answer it a little differently, if that's okay. So I'm gonna just talk a little bit about how we've actually worked with a global partner to help further goals that we feel are important locally. So for example, because we're an impact fund, we are always looking for global partners, and henceforth we are the first Asian flagship fund of the 2X Challenge, which is a global gender finance initiative to invest in the world's women. And so that's an example of where we've taken a global partner, and we're striving to promote gender equality through our investments and within our group. So this both helps our investments and our team focus on gender equality. So right now at a fund level, 70% of our portfolio, our IAF2 portfolio, so our third fund, is 2X aligned as of, I think, end of 2022. And then this is based on 4 key areas. So one is entrepreneurship, which is like women ownership and percentage of female founders. The second one is leadership, which is again senior management and board. The third is employment, share of women in the workforce, and the fourth is consumption, product or service specifically or disproportionately benefiting women. So yeah, just using a global partner to help further what we feel are important local goals. I think Pakistan has made a lot of progress in gender equality, but we still have a long way to go.
What advice would you give to projects that are looking for investment from funds like yours?
So companies always ask us like exactly what are you looking for, and again, it's really hard to say. I mean, there's certain key areas that we are often impressed by or looking for. And personally for me, the I guess like a few of the main ones that I look at are strong founders and team. So just because there's a lot that can happen in a business, there's a lot of up and downs, but as long as that there's a strong team at the base of figuring out the problems and working through them, I think that is very important, and will help the business through ups and downs. And the founders as well, I feel like passion is very important. Whenever there's someone who is extremely passionate about the problem that they are solving, we as investors have confidence that they will stick with the business no matter what happens. So that's the main one. A second thing that kind of helps a lot is customer validation, because it's very easy to say that you have an exciting product or you have an exciting business. But whenever there's evidence of demand, like, and that's also like through the numbers. So like if you see a certain percentage of growth month on month with a core metric, then we as investors have confidence that there is some form of customer base for the business. And then I think, I mean, again, a few smaller things are like market size, evidence of existing technology. And then the final main one for me as well is impact being a key focus. So again, being the main, a core part of the business model, where the customers are being served and impact is being made that way, instead of kind of a side view thing. That's also very important.